Peace and love, everybody. This is Noble Isaiah L, and we have Mother Gianna L, and we are coming to you live once again. We wasn't able to do the Matriarchal Mondays, and I'll let Mother Gianna go into explanation of why. Mother?
Well, I like Mondays for multiple reasons. However, the main reason why I like doing our shows on Mondays because Monday is the day in which I am the most in harmony and I am the most aligned with the cosmos. Now, this Monday, the reason why we couldn't come on because I had a situation where I was stuck in Richmond. However, today is 10 times better anyway. Do you all want to guess why? I don't know how many people's on the live right now. I don't know if I should wait to give us some time to try to guess, but I officially turned 25. I'm officially 25, y'all. I'm 25. And let me tell y'all something. So I recently just learned, like a few days ago, that when you turn the age of the date of your incarnation, it's considered your golden year, right? I didn't know that. I didn't know that with me turning 25 on the 25th, that it was my golden year, y'all. I did not put my phone on Do Not Disturb. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Okay. Apologize about that. I hope I didn't disappear. So anyway, when you turn the same age as the incarnation date, it's considered your golden year, and I did not know that. Not only that, right? 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 is my lucky number. So I'm just like, I know this year has started all crazy, but for me, I am super excited to see what this year has in store for me. I was told, it's so funny, right? Because you keep hitting these milestones in your life, and it's like when you get here, it's just like, oh, this is what the hype is about. Because I remember being 18, excited to turn 21. When I turned 21, it was like, oh yeah, I can go to clubs now, but I'm not even a clubber.
Right.
But I was like, but I would like to go to black and white parties, and all of those dollars and stuff used to be for people 25 and older. Now that I'm here and I finally made it, the last thing I want to do is go to a black and white party right now. The last thing I want to do is, so I'm pretty sure there's other things that describes the significance of being 25. However, the only thing I really cared about doing today is talking to the people. So I'm so super excited to be able to talk to you all. I hope that the live is building up. I don't know if to wait because this is the first time I actually publicize it, y'all. We have not been publicizing exactly when we're going to go live beforehand. We know that that's not good, and we probably should give you all a heads up, even though my heads up was just 5 minutes ago, but we're working on it. We're working on it. And I don't know if we want to wait for people to come on, but let me see something. And it's sad, brother, because I see that you are live, but I don't see your live. It's not popping up. So I hope other people can see it.
Yeah, other people can see it.
You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, speaking of solar returns, right? I'm so excited. I'm so filled with energy. I have a lot in store, but again, I wanted to come to talk to you all because I have some things I need to get off of my chest. But speaking of solar return, let's talk about that for a second. So most people be like, happy birthday, right? And there's several reasons for why we don't say happy birthday as conscious Moors, but we prefer to say happy solar return. Why? Because when you were incarnated, right, the sun was at a certain placement in the sky, in the solar system, okay? And that sun returns to the same place every year on your particular incarnation date. So it's a solar return. The sun is returning back to the position in which it was when you were first manifesting to the physical realm. It's so beautiful. So if nobody ever knew why we say, happy solar return, that is the reason. And brother, did you want to add to that by chance?
Right. And, in astrology, the sun represents the solar um, or eternal purpose for everyone and their drive. The sun rules in medical astrology the heart. Okay, it rules the heart and the blood. Okay, and the sun actually, whatever stargate constellation that you entered into, is actually a uh, say a destiny or a guide point for you throughout your life on Earth. Okay, so it's a very very good experience to be in this reality, and it's better if you can know why you're here, your purpose, and the sun is a lot of driving force behind why you're here. So if you know your sun sign, and you know in astrology you have more than just a sun sign. A lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm a Cancer," say for example, but you know that you have more than
That's
one sign.
me.
Right. You got more than one sign, and those signs make up your astrological makeup or cosmological makeup. And they guide you into why you came specifically on this hemisphere of Earth or this plane to accomplish your goals and your purpose. Okay. So,
Yep.
um,
Everybody should be aware of their sun, moon, and rising sign. So when it
mhm,
comes to you measuring or you having a significant other in which you're trying to determine whether you are compatible with them, don't just look at the so-called horoscope sign or your initial zodiac sign. No, compare your sun sign to your moon and your rising to their moon and rising sign. And
mhm,
so what is this? So if you are compatible 2 out of 3, so air and fire signs are more compatible,
mhm,
and water and earth signs are more compatible. So if 2 out of your 3 matches with your significant other, then you are initially compatible.
mhm,
Okay, and it doesn't necessarily mean just with significant others. It can depends on. It also depends on like any type of relationship, friendship. Actually, brother, me and you, we have 2 out of 3, right? Um, I'm trying to think. What was it? It was the water sign, right? And then it was the air, because I'm double air and he's Aquarius. So, brother, he left me. Understood the show. Okay. Okay. He came back. What I say? So yeah. So we are 2 out of 3, right?
mhm.
Now, please, y'all, take note of that. And in order for you to find out your moon and your rising sign, you do need to get a natal chart reading, which the master astrologer right there does provide if any of you are interested in getting a reading. But the things you're going to need is the time that you were born, right? And then the area location. That's about it, right?
Right, and a date. And let me just
Of
clarify,
course.
master, you say master astrologer, I'm not self-professed. I'm a student, so
He's a
I'm
master.
a I love learning and sharing, so um definitely, can point out some things in your chart to help you achieve or look at certain things that you might have questions about. And not just that, you can see how astrology relates to a lot of different things, um,
Mhm.
to everything, really. It's the master key to civilization. So, speaking of astrology, I'm going to be having Islam, everybody saying Islam, Felicia Chan, Islam, uh, Yarash Bey, Islam, Brother Deal. So, a lot of times, um, astrology, I'm going to be having these courses coming up, and hopefully next month, okay? Because we actually going to get the school going, and we're going to get a lot of the astrology, numerology, all those things out there. So if you're interested, we're definitely going to have that information available, and we're going to get this a lot of our people this information. So speaking of astrology, if I may, real quick, I pluck some cards. I don't know if people are into the spiritual tools that we use, but yes, that's right. 6 planets in retrograde. Speaking of
Oh, wow.
astrology, I wanted to look at the oracle cards. Okay, you have the
Now, before you get into the reading, right? Let's
Mhm.
talk about the significance and why you're using animal oracle cards rather than regular old tarot or regular oracle cards. Because before you tell the master astrologer version of what you're about to say, do y'all realize that before, I'm about to say beginning of the time, but our origin, I was about to say history. Y'all know we talked about that last time. So
Right.
history, connotatively speaking, has showed us that we have always examined the animals, the way that they live, the way that they interact with each other to guide us and how we should operate as a people. So when you think about it, it's like our animals sends us messages on almost an everyday basis if you actually open your eyes and pay attention to it. And some of us have spirit animals. Like y'all, if y'all don't know y'all moon, rising, sun sign, y'all spirit animals, I think that's the basic key things towards knowing thyself. You know what I'm saying? So animals, they have a lot of meaning behind them. So
Mhm.
animal tarot or oracle cards have a lot of significance in them. And there's a lot we can learn from them. So go ahead, brother. What do you have to say about animal
Well,
oracle card?
well, one of the reasons why I chose these archangel animal oracle cards is because before I got into this, I was getting a lot of signals and signs from the universe about different messages. I got bit by a couple spiders, and I
I
know
agree.
spiders are very significant in dealing with tapping into feminine energy and being creative. Okay, writing, strategizing, planning, and at that time I had a lot of ideas, but I was not activating them and using them. And when I got bit, that's when I realized the sign. Now it doesn't take that to happen for you to realize that you need to be, active, but that's what happened. And I would get a lot of signs. Those who know me close know that I have a special connection with ravens, crows, eagles, falcons, cardinals, and stuff like that. So they come to my house every day.
And
And I'm,
lately, rabbits. Yeah, we just
rabbits,
talked about
rabbits,
that.
yeah, right.
So does that mean that it's a reason for why certain people get stung by a bee? Because I've never been stung, but I know so many people who've been stung by a bee, and I'm trying to figure out what does that mean.
Well, the universal creator tries to touch and reach people in many different ways through people, through animals, through situations, circumstances, conditions. So I think a lot of times if you're not aware, you miss the message, and a lot of the things are right there in your face. And I know for me, a lot of these animals have taught me to pay more attention to my surroundings and just slightly remind us to go within.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, right. The
He said,
snake praying mantis. That those are our martial art forms. Yes, and I actually have some snakes in my backyard right now. So
yeah, we just saw one the other day, right? And he said, no, they activate his spidey senses. I said the same thing too. First time he told me he got bit by a biter. This bit by a biter. That's y'all. Did y'all hear what I
right, yeah.
when
I mean,
the first time you told me that, I was like, no wonder you so keen and keen and on point and sharp with your abilities. I was like, it could have something to do with that spider now.
well, yeah. I mean, I love the messages that they bring, but yeah. I mean, that was different for me. I didn't know what it was. Arm had swelled up, leg had swelled up, but
Mm.
okay. Sanjay said, for me, it's ladybugs, ravens, crows, dogs, and butterflies. Wow. Very, very powerful messages. Even when you dream about them as well. Um,
Wow.
and they have different meanings when you dream about them, daydream about them, and see, them in real time. Um, but
You know
that's
what's funny, Steph? I've never had a dream about an animal, but when I was younger, I did have a dream about flying dinosaurs. So does that have a significance
oh,
in it too? Or
it definitely does. I mean, when you look at the different signs and symbols that they send you in your dream, um, have different meanings than when you're in the wake state. So And those can be from previous lives or future or simultaneous lives, as they say, in metaphysical form. But let me get to the reading.
Oh
Got some
yeah,
good stuff.
good part.
So
Okay.
today's card I plucked was the ant. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me know. The ant. Okay, and it says cooperate for the highest good of the community. Okay, now a lot of stuff has been taking place in our community, and if you look very closely, you see that these ants are actually going around in a circle. They're actually um, building, okay, and going around in the circle of life, okay. And you see the Merkaba, okay, activated, and you see the Metatron's cube in the center, okay? And this is the center dealing with the heart chakra where it all starts, okay? Whenever you're building a community or set out to do something, um, as far as community work, this is when you actually have to have structure, organization, and common sense. This is dealing with the element of earth, okay? This is dealing with the element of being able to use your common sense for the practical good of the community. Okay, um,
Okay.
that's the card for the past, and the card for now, right now, is the dove. Okay, let me know if you guys can see that. That's the dove, and the dove. There's two of them. Okay, and they are headed upward. Okay, to the direction of the sun, with their heart chakra illuminated. Okay, and if you can look very closely, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a rainbow um, that's right beneath the sun. Okay, it's right behind it. You can barely see it on both sides, right? And the message on this is spread messages of peace and harmony. Um, I know a lot of times when you witness the things that take place to our people, it makes you feel certain type of ways, and you want to have hatred and anger and all these different emotions. But and then you act on that and you spread those type of messages. But today it's saying to actually spread those messages of peace. Okay, and you also see that this is the air element. So spreading messages of peace specifically in your communication, social media, posting, calling, texting, a lot of these different things, you can actually spread messages of peace through your thinking, sharing good thoughts with people, and helping them to see a different perspective. And then here's the possible outcome of all of these results. Going back to that earth element here, we got the tiger. The tiger is dealing specifically, it says, accept your magnificence. Okay, a lot of times people are upset that they're not the lion. The lion is the king of the jungle. The lion is the one who gets all the notoriety. But if you pay close attention, this tiger has his mind, his crown chakra, and his heart chakra eliminated, and he's looking forward. He's not looking to the side. He's not looking backwards. He's moving forward on land, and he's careful. He's watching his opponent, and you can see right behind him is that uh, portal, that gateway that's opening. So you can't go forward looking in the past like that. Okay. Um,
That's
this is dealing with the earth element as well, because it's going to take a lot of different um, practical information, okay, for this journey ahead. Now, tigers, when you look closely, they fight. They have different fighting styles than lions, okay, and a lot of different animals. They stand up on their hind legs and they swing with both arms. This, when you have enough information for going ahead, you'll be able to use those technique of the tiger. Now, as far as astrology is concerned, and we're looking at the planets today, the moon is currently growing in Virgo, waxing in Virgo. Um, and I mean, it's very, very, very interesting that it's in Virgo. And I'm gonna try to share my screen. Let me see. So, okay, here we go. Can you guys see my screen?
they can see me. They can't see you. I'm headlining right now. We can't hear you no more. Are you saying something? God, this is funny. I don't know if I should. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay. All right. I got kicked out for a minute. Let me see. Can you see my screen at all? As far as the me sharing it?
Nope. I see you. They're looking at both of us right now.
Okay, let me try to share the screen one more time. Can you see it now?
It's loading.
Okay. How about now?
Nope. Blackness. That's all I see is blackness.
Okay.
And they can't see either.
They can't see the screen?
I mean, it's blackness, but nah, they can't see anything.
Okay. How about now?
Nope.
Wow. Okay. Well, maybe
No.
not. Maybe next time. But okay, so basically I was just gonna give you a reading what's going on today. So with the sun currently in Cancer, you have the solar principle in a masculine sign. I'm sorry, in a feminine sign. So this is learning how to balance the yin and yang in the sun, and in Cancer, um, the sun representing the masculine principle, and Cancer ruled by the feminine principle. Um, and depending on your location, where you're at, the sun is actually in the ninth house right now. And this is dealing with specifically learning. Um, if you're a Cancer and if you are dealing with the Cancer sign, Cancer in ancient astrology, they were the ones who were very vocal, okay, and they were the ones who were very, very in tune, and it was considered a priesthood, okay. Um, the nurturers, and this is normally attributed to the sign of the ones who give care and nurturing to their child or community. So right now, the sun is in the ninth house, and I guess this is really about learning how to uh, use the information that you're getting from higher learning, but this is going within and using your intuition because cancers have that ability. Um, then you have the moon in Virgo, okay, and that's making a favorable aspect to the sun. That's water and earth, okay. Now, in your relationship, you got to be very careful not to, if you're a water element and earth element, you got to be very careful not to um, add too much water to the earth, too much emotion, okay, because then you would put too much water on the earth. You know what you get? You get a muddy situation, right?
That's
So,
exactly what happened with my ex, y'all. He was a Capricorn. That did not work out at all.
right.
Woo.
And if you're not careful as a uh, earth sign and you give too much earth, too much common sense, too much practicality, you can actually, uh, cover up that water well. Okay.
Mm,
So you gotta be careful with the elements, and as more Americans, more science that you practice, you have to realize that the alchemy you're mixing the elements with the people you're encountering. You gotta be aware of the different elements that people contain and how you guys affect each other. And it's
mm,
funny because in different cultures, astrology is still the focal point. Okay.
mm.
Um, and I'm not going to be long winded because I know we got some things to do. But right now, the rising sign is Libra, depending on your location. But Libra is ruled by, uh, you have here, Libra here. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull it up. Okay.
Is there any way you can make us bigger? You just feel really, really small, and then this.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull it up for you.
And I know you on another screen right now, so when you get a chance.
Okay. There you go.
All right. Okay.
Um, yeah. So, well, Libra on the horizon. Um, this is the characteristics that everybody is giving off today. During this cycle, this transit of justice, fairness, um, especially with everything that's taking place with the alleged politics, the things happening with social injustices, things like that. A lot of people want justice, and um, right now, that's what's on the horizon. That's what's actually ruling everyone, and that's what's seen in everyone. Um, and so, when you have Libra ruled by Venus, and Venus is actually in Gemini. Venus just came direct. So this is very good for communications. This is very, very good for relationships, and the outcome of relationships will actually be favorable. Venus will make a good aspect for everyone who's thinking about relationships, communicating. You can now think about the future and the present, okay, with that person or people or group, whatever it is, you can actually make that manifest now. Venus coming direct. And on Saturday, Mars is going to make its transition from Pisces into Aries. And when Mars goes from Pisces. It doesn't like to be in Pisces with all of this emotion. It's a fire sign. It likes to go full throttle. It's going to be home in Aries. And it's going to retrograde and stay longer in Aries. It's normally in it for 6 weeks, but it's going to stay longer. This is going to give everybody the firepower to get your um, projects, whatever it is, done, and have the courage and strength to see through the illusions of this Neptune energy that's being put out. But a lot of people, their true colors will be revealed through this transit with Neptune going retrograde. A lot of people, actions will be the driving force for why things fall apart. And you just really have to pay attention because you will see those signs, but whether you actually make the decision to move forward is why Mars is will be in Aries, will give you the strength to do so if you have the courage to do it. So I yield, mother. Go ahead.
That's a lot. Y'all don't sound like a master astrologer. Y'all see why I call him a master astrologer, right? Like that was so on point. Now, I I don't know, like I don't know how fluent you all are in astrology, but it's so hard for me to get into it. Like I know basics, but being able to analyze the chart the way that you do is so inspirational, brother. So I just want to thank you first and foremost for taking out your time to give us the reading, and thank you for utilizing your skills and hosting the classes, because there's so many other people just like myself who are interested in reading charts just like you. So it's long as that.
It's
All right. Now, yeah, I have a lot that I want to say. Now, I have good news and bad news. The good news is we have been getting nothing but love, okay? And it's a little overwhelming, but I can't get enough of it, so keep it coming. But thank you. I really want to thank you. I know I thanked you in the last live. I probably will thank you in future lives, but thank you again for receiving us in a way, in a manner in which you all have been doing so. Please continue to share this information. And unfortunately, the bad news is, yeah, we got a warning. We got a warning. We got a community guideline warning, right? And they didn't tell us. They didn't give a reason for why we were getting this warning. And I don't know if it's a 3 times and you're out type of ordeal, but it's our first one. And and because of it, we were really sitting back trying to think. Like they didn't fact check us, so we was the reason through the fact checks. And I don't think it usually just send out warnings without giving a reason, but I would really love to know why we got a warning on our last one in particularly, but not any of the other ones. So at first I thought it was the vaccine piece because I was like, maybe they got this algorithm where they identify keywords being used in their videos like vaccine. But then I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute, the live before last, I had mentioned the word vaccine. I just didn't go into how I felt about it into the last live. So it could be a factor, maybe not. I don't know. Um, and then I was thinking, I was like, well, we do talk about demo European colonial operations a lot. Do you think that because the owner of Facebook is I'll be all modern day European, so like maybe he has some type of algorithm to be able to point out or identify moments in which we've had several moments where we talked about it, but we've always talked about them since day one. So I really don't know. I would love to know what you all feel. I know it's probably some people out there that's probably like who's caught our previous live and it's probably like, oh yeah, of course they're going to give y'all a warning because the things that we talk about is the things that not nobody, sorry, a lot of people are not discussing. And a lot of what we give in our videos is a lot of truth, even a lot of truth that some people may not be ready for. So, and it's sad, right? Because it's one of those situations where it's like, dang, how do you remember the times where we did not have social media platforms? Like, I feel like back during those times, truth was less manipulated. And it's like they give you these platforms and they're like, express yourself. How are you feeling? What are you feeling? Hit the share button, share the information. But let's let's put restrictions on what you feel and how you feel and the information that you're sharing. Like the restrictions alone is a violation of our natural divine right? That was the basis of the production of common law, and common law was the basis and the foundation of the Constitution. And I feel like if we were a little bit more aware as a people on, different legislations and different, Supreme Court laws or third spicy cases in which we can use, we could all, we wouldn't have to deal with such folly because we'll know how to shut it down as soon as the processes and procedures started to be implemented. So I just think that's really, really interesting. But you want to know something else? Go ahead, brother.
If you back to astrology, if you look at the north node of the moon, which is in Gemini, okay, that's dealing with the freedom of expression. That's dealing with the first Bill of Rights. And then the south node in Sagittarius is dealing with the or representing the institutions, okay, and their owners. And this is a opposition in astrology where both parties are fighting against each other, okay? And that's what's actually taking place where they're getting more restrict in social media with their policies, all these things, but the people are actually attempting to fight back. And this will be very, very strong. This will be a very strong, I would say, effect on the people where they'll be able to um, formulate a lot of different things to fight back. But because of this technological age that we're moving in, they got to move fast because they're going to release a lot of different information and technologies that's been suppressed. And a lot of people won't be ready for this new age that we're about to go deeper in. So,
of course they're not. I've always said this. There is something truly disharmonic in the advancement of technology and the dumbing down of the people that are on it. How you gonna have all this advanced technology and the people don't even know themselves, let alone how to operate as a collective and operate as a nation? So I can definitely see how that's true. Now the thing is, I can see if what we discuss was against the Communication Decency Act. But we don't even talk about anything that goes against de jure law. We don't violate de jure law, so it's kind of like it's unfortunate. Now I was thinking, I was like, now that we know in the event that they was to shut down all of our videos or our accounts, that we know how to pursue in a suit. But our suit is nothing compared to a class action from the people. Okay. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, if we all knew what we can do to, you know, to rebut these different claims and restrictions, then man, we will be on our way, man. We'll be
Well,
on our
I think we need to have just a whole separate
platform.
platform,
I know.
um, maybe private, where we discuss a lot of these different things concerning remedy to address the different issues that our people are dealing with. I know that a lot of the issues that we're dealing with is because we don't have our own stuff established on our own land. And
Mhm.
anytime you have colonizers that are on your land and um, they have their stuff organized and set up a little more than you. Not when you start getting organized, you'll see when you start going up against them, you'll see that they're not as organized as they portray themselves to be. It's just we're not that organized. Um, and there's a lot of remedies out there for our people, but they are just not aware. Okay, we got a few comments.
A lot of comments. I'll
Rashmi
forgive.
says constitutional law enforcement is the remedy, rebuttal all claims. That's right. Um, and Constitution is really for them. We enforce on them. That's the rules for them. We have treaties. We have treaties in place to enforce as our offense, right? So, Brother Dill said the attack is not targeting the conscious. It's to restrict the erudition being filtered to the unconscious. Exactly.
Yes, yes.
And we found a lot of people who are actually controlling and causing confusion are the conscious people, not the unconscious. It's the ones who have the information or have certain information, and they are distracting and derailing people from the truth. And I like to also say that um, when it comes to our people doing research for themselves, what I've found a lot of times our people get their information and their facts from YouTube, uh, Google search, uh,
Fox 5.
memes, and stuff like that. That's fine. I know we all get our information from all sources, but to have a valid, credible source, I think that can be very liberating to start with, so our people can really be able to know how to research and find out what's being said is a lie or if it's truth, and that will shatter the a lot of the colonizers' mindset that they're putting out here.
Well, see, that's the part of cross referencing. Sorry, I hear that stuff.
Well,
So
yeah,
cross
but
referencing.
go ahead, go ahead.
When you cross reference, you're able to analyze different sources to see if they're all in harmony in what they're presenting, and be able to use that as another guide, another tool, right?
Hmm.
I still
Well,
use cross references.
that's part of research. You have to know how to research and cross reference. Um, like, for example, if I was to study a subject matter in law, jurisprudence, I wouldn't just have one book, and that's my only, like, for example, the Black's Law Dictionary. That wouldn't be my only source. You have
Mhm.
to go to Bouvier's, you have to go to any of your law dictionaries of ancient and modern jurisprudence. Um, and that's just being unbiased so you can get the truth of the matter. You said we got to put Noble Jarley on YouTube. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We got to put his program out. A lot of the things he did, he already established and set things up. And I just think that uh, a lot of our people are unaware of it. So,
And it's sad because as soon as they hear prophet, would you Ali, they be like, "Oh, that's a religious group, or that's a cult," and it's like, no, this man has placed several different things. He has several different things in place for us to reclaim our estate, and if we are aware of it, then we'll be able to be that much knowledgeable when it comes to our everyday affairs and receiving remedy. And yeah, I'm about to say
all right,
reparation, but restitution.
restitution. And see, when we have a trust established and we're exercising trust, which is the operation of law today, that will, provide a lot of remedy for us. And I mean trust in all its facets. Like, for example, you're dealing with trust law um, when it comes to your politics, when it comes to security of your assets, when it comes to your exercising your birthrights. You're talking about all across the board, and a lot of the quote unquote rich and wealthy and the elitists, they all know about these principles that our people have been kept outside of. So to combat that or to address that issue, we're actually going to have a lot of these things taught at the school. So um, we're going to, keep everybody up to date on that information. And if you're interested, definitely we'll put stuff out there, and you can definitely feel free to inquire, and we can get this work done.
It's time for that. It's time. And you want to know something? I was trying to think about this violation or this warning of the community guidelines from a different perspective, right? I was like, okay, so let's look at this as the community saying that we are in violation, and only in a sense in which we may have possibly offended someone. Like, so that's usually what they put restrictions on, things that are considered offensive and degrading, or not necessarily degrading, but offensive, and things that goes against the Communication Decency Act as well. But when it comes to anyone that may be offended at the content or our presentments on our lives, all I can say is this: as a people, we really, really do have to learn how to get our emotions out of get the emotions out of the way when it comes to receiving information, because our emotions will be the first thing that breaks us away from taking in and digesting the things that we are even presenting on this live. So let's look at it like this. Let's look at it like a college. You go to college to get a degree. Now, what we are presenting here on this live is different pieces of information and different, different things, and different subjects and knowledge, and which can help you increase in your degrees of higher consciousness. Okay, so just like college, right? You go, let's just say you can't stand biology, okay? But because you want that degree, you go into the biology class, right? And you sit there and you listen to what the teacher is teaching. Now, just because you're not interested in biology does not mean that that teacher is going to reconstruct the curriculum. No, he's going to teach, you're going to learn, you're going to study, right? And then you're going to apply what you study via tests. Now, that's no different than what we're presenting here on this live. We're giving you information, we're teaching you information in which you should study and apply it to the test of life, okay? So again, get the emotionalism out of it. And any event that you're like, oh, well, I don't like it because what y'all are talking about is completely false, then in that case, be able to present facts, okay? If you can present something to us that is contrary to what we are already saying, and you can rebut it point by point, then we will be able to take in and receive what you're presenting and adjust accordingly, But when you get all emotional and you're irate and you're harnessing in the negative energy that you feel from what you don't like about our lives, you're harming yourself. You're not harming us, you're harming yourself. So why not? I mean, I feel like if you really just cannot take this information, remove yourself, and let somebody else receive this knowledge, because it's definitely something that needs to be of common, common sense, common information amongst the people. So that's what we're here for. That's our only objective, is to share this information. And speaking of, right, so I got this comment. One of the things that I did when I created my national page, I befriended a bunch of LMBs. But I also went back to befriend all of the friends that I had from my original Instagram page and Facebook, but only because I wanted to share the information with people that I grew up in my community. I didn't want to just, share this with Ellen Bates because most of the Ellen Bates already know the things that I'm talking about. But I wanted to definitely get this information to the people that I grew up with and went to school with. So one of my little schoolmates made a comment. She commented on one of our posts saying, you keep saying, study this knowledge, but what knowledge are you referring to? And so she deleted the post. And Mother, I'm so mad you deleted it because I said that type. I had a long little paragraph for you, Mother. And as soon as I hit submit, that thing was like, the owner has removed the post, sir. And I was just like, oh, anyway, but I'm going to tell you anyway, and I hope you catch this, okay? More science is the knowledge that I'm referring to, and more science incorporates, not just jurisprudence, but civics, astrology, sacred alchemy, okay? It deals with metaphysics, philosophy, we call history, all of those factors. So that's basically, because I know we say when you come to this knowledge, when you come into this knowledge, when you come into this knowledge, we say that fairly often, but that's ultimately what we are referring to when you're coming to the knowledge of thyself, because everything that we're talking about deals with thyself. You know what I'm saying? So that's the knowledge we're referring to, and you will definitely get more details as we continue to do more lives. If there's any particular curiosity or any inquiry that you have, we would love to share more information about any particular subject. All you have to do is just reach out. Okay.
That's right. And also when we say knowledge, it always there's a saying that we say, or that's written on ancient schools of thoughts, man, know thyself. And I love the quote that says, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and he who knows himself will find it. And so we're talking about really the knowledge of self and going within. And when you look at the knowledge of self, it's not limited to those topics, but those are some great starting points. And we have tons of information on all of those topics. So,
absolutely, yeah. So another thing, yeah, I just want to let y'all know this as a disclaimer. I am a type of person who don't like confrontation. However, I'm aware that everything is dual, everything has opposite side. So I know that opposition is inevitable. Okay. So what I learned to do is learn how to deal with confrontations and opposition in a manner in which doesn't put me in a permanent state of lower vibration energy. I try to combat it and counteract the negative energy with positive energy all the time. So when it comes to what I'm about to do, I'm not going to do this too often. When it comes to people sharing their opinions, I know that everybody not going to like what we have to say. And so we're going to get rude comments. But I refuse to comment and make a comment on people's opposition every single time that it happens, because that's a waste of energy. But this one brother, y'all, on my YouTube account, and it's not even negative, but I don't know if his intent was sincere or not. Maybe he just didn't know. But I figured that the comment that was left on my account may not just be his opinion, and maybe the opinions of others as well. So Mr. Swindle Hoodwink, okay? He commented on my YouTube account, and he was like, I wish I could say verbatim, but I'm not gonna go to it. So he was like, if you're a Moor and you go to a temple, you need to wear a red turban, right? And I was like, first of all, who is you? Okay. I'm about to send a cold war to, because I need you to prove your authority and your jurisdiction, okay, over me, But nah, nevertheless, though, y'all, first of all, I need to take care of my temple, this current vessel that I have, before I even worry about any procedure or rules of an actual physical venue of a temple. Okay. Believe it or not, and some Moors may disapprove, but I've never been in a temple a day in my life. Okay. And just because I've never been to a temple which is why I didn't know that they wear red turbans, by the way, sir. But just because I never been to a temple does not make me less of a Moor, okay? Because the temple is a venue, and we already know that the temples have been infiltrated, y'all. It's not the temples, it's the administrators. So I have my reasons for why I've never been to a temple, and that's okay. But where I go and what I wear on my head has nothing to do with my bloodline, has nothing to do with who I am. And how I decide to dress my flesh has nothing to do with what's in my heart, okay? So for anybody else out there who's new to this movement, like he mentioned, the brother mentioned earlier, like it be the conscious Moors who be causing the confusion. So if anybody ever tell you that you gotta go to a temple, you gotta wear a certain color turban, tell them the same thing I just told y'all. Okay? The culture, when I decide to wear turbans, it's because I'm feeling some type of way. This color, just like words of vibration and numbers of vibration, colors are too. So I wear the color turban based off of how I'm feeling and my mood, nothing less. So I just wanted to, get that out, get it off my chest, because I refuse to comment. I refuse to comment on that post because I definitely wanted to make a public declaration of how I felt about it, and I hope he watches. And honestly, now, if you didn't mean any harm by that and you was being sincere with your actions, then I appreciate that, because I will be happy to inform you of what you need to know, so you won't send that and say that to somebody else, because I'm trying to figure out who gave you the authority. So nevertheless, right, that's all I wanted to address on that opposition piece. Now, the other thing that I wanted to discuss was do y'all know what psychosomatic illness is? For those who don't, brother, you know, right? You know?
Yeah.
Okay. Psychosomatic illness is a physical illness or physical condition that is caused by a mental factor such as internal conflict or stress. Okay? You know how they say stress is the leading cause of disease? Well, guilt, anxiety, frustration, anger, and all emotions of a lower vibrational frequency also kills and harms. This is why I said in the last live that love cures all. If we learn how to operate in those emotions that are above willingness and, that is of love and enlightenment and laughter and things of those higher vibrations, that we will be able to do better as a people. Y'all ever met somebody, it's people out there that gets really, really, really angry. They get really angry at frivolous things. And I only say frivolous when you compare it to things that are of the extreme. For example, me breaking a nail is frivolous compared to me losing an arm. Me getting a flat tire is considered frivolous compared to me getting into a bad car accident, right? But there's some people out there who get so super angry at a frivolous situation in which, they're mad and they're harming themselves emotionally. They may be mad at another person and they may verbally harm or physically harm another person for a situation in which, if they could literally look forward 6 months from now to this exact moment, they know that they wouldn't even care. Matter of fact, they probably would have forgotten about even being upset about the situation.
Right.
But people don't realize that in that moment, if we was able to carry a "it's okay, it's frivolous" attitude about a lot of the things that's going on, we would be better as a nation. But instead, we have people that hold on to this negative energy and whatever, they may feel upset about in the moment. And then they don't realize that now they're attracting more things to add to that lower vibrational frequency in which they're already emitting. And before you know it, they're cussing out other people. And now their whole day is just bad just because of the simple lack of control of their emotions. Now, they say that cancers are very emotional people. And I see the beauty in that. At first, I used to think it was like a curse in a way, right? Because it's like, oh, I am extra sensitive. But as I got older, I started to realize that there is power in mastering your emotions, y'all. If we can master our emotions, we will master our thoughts. If we can master our emotions and our thoughts, we will master our mind. Only then we will be able to elevate as a collective consciously, you know? So I think that's it. I don't, y'all forgive me. We're gonna get better at getting to these comments. So let me see what if anybody have any questions. No?
And
Okay.
on um, cancers get that rep of being very emotional and everything like that.
I know.
But there's dual aspects to everybody, or every self, like
Hmm.
higher self, lower self. So,
Yeah.
um, especially when you're dealing with a higher self cancer, very good. I've met a lot of cancers that I haven't noticed this till somebody pointed this out. Even in studying astrology and everything like that, a lot of cancers are vocal, and they get the stigma of being the voice of many waters. Okay, very, very vocal with the emotions, and they speak what they feel, and that's the sun I feel. And so, like, I've just noticed recently that you're a Cancer, and you do display a lot of those traits. I just noticed
I
it.
do.
It just dawned on me a couple
It
days
is
ago. So
really, and
yeah,
it's so bad to the point where I feel like I can't hold it in sometimes. Like I have to get it out, and if I don't, it will really put me in a very like really bad emotional state. So I'd rather save myself than just let you know how I feel. And in a lot of cases, I'm able to receive the remedy in which I desire. It just takes for me to express myself in a certain type of way. So it's on to that. See, I don't know a lot of cancers personally to be able to make that same observation, but you might be on to something, brother. Okay, here.
most of my kindred are Cancers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because I thought that was more so for the Gemini. Geminis are usually very outspoken. But then again, if you compare that cancerness to the double Gemini, my goodness, that explains why I am the way that I am, and why I'm so outspoken. I never thought about
Well,
that.
I don't know if anybody know about biblical astrology, but um, Cancer and Gemini were considered the twins, the two brothers that rode together. Okay, and they were the ones who were very communicative. Okay, and I'm gonna do a series on that to break down some good stuff about that, and how it
Please
applies
do.
to today. But yeah,
If
you
we
got to be able to have those platforms and outlets to express, because a lot of times today, a lot of the things that our people display and do is destructive or counter.
Mhm. Mhm.
Really anything that we're trying to accomplish. So
Yeah, and then a lot of people don't realize that when they get upset about frivolous situations, they don't realize that in that moment, all they're doing is being taught a lesson in which they need to learn. So in the event that they don't learn the lesson now because you're frustrated, you want to bring your frustration on other people, all you're going to do is find yourself at a later time going through that same similar situation because you haven't learned a lesson yet. I learned there
mhm,
is power in learning, looking at things from different perspectives
mhm,
and looking at it from a different perspective in that moment, not waiting until after you done perked off and burn the house down and later on think, dang, I shouldn't have done that. You know what I'm saying? The
mhm.
power of catching yourself in that moment, being like, you know what, let me sit back, really analyze what's going on and look at this from a different perspective. For example, now I don't really have confrontation. I am a manifester, y'all. I manifest. And I really don't manifest types of energies that would cause me to really be frustrated or irritated too often. But when it does, almost every single case, I have to sit back and look at myself rather than blaming the other person. Oh, that's another thing too. We so quick to blame other people. Don't get me started. We'll talk about that a later time. My goodness. So, like for example, I'm gonna use this as an example, right? Because again, I don't have moments where I'm irritated or frustrated too often. So recently, and this is a very small example, but I'm gonna tell you, right? So recently, I want to say a few days ago, so I had this Facebook post, right? And I had this Facebook post, and when I was screenshotting it, so I had this Facebook post, and I saw on my newsfeed that someone posted my post and didn't give me credit. Now, I know y'all like, Gian, that's so immature, but hear me out. I'm sensitive about my stuff. I just wanted a credit. That's it. No, I'm joking. It wasn't even mine. I posted it for somebody else. But look, when I screenshotted it, I knew it was my photo that he screenshotted and posted on his page, because on my Galaxy, the little side panel on the side was still, I couldn't cut it out the picture. So just know I knew that was my picture, and he didn't give me any credit. So in that moment, it wasn't a big deal to me, because I used the, oh, it's frivolous type of attitude naturally. It's more of a subconscious thing now at this point. But so I got irritated, but I just let it go. Most people would have been, and I liked it, because I was like, I want you to know that I know that I saw it, and that you posted it from my page. But I liked it, and I kept it moving. Now, some people would have took that to the next level, but funny thing is, 4 days later, I noticed, so that same post, somebody had commented. It was like, please make it public so I can share. And I was like, oh, so the brother probably wanted to share it to give me the credit, but because it wasn't public, he couldn't do it. And I wouldn't have commented on the post to be like, hey, make it public, because I wouldn't even have known if the person would have made it public just for me to share it or not. And I'm not that type of person. But when I thought about it, I was like, that's probably what he did. I would have screenshotted it too and posted it on my page. And so the point of me saying that is, like, I felt completely different than in that moment when I realized that than I felt in that moment. You know, I wouldn't even gotten irritated in that moment initially if I would have thought about it. Oh, I probably should make this post public for people to share, so you know I could get my credits. You know what I'm saying? So I could have got what I wanted if I would have looked at that situation differently, rather than being like, oh, you know, he just did me dirty. And I say that example because there's so many people who get upset in the current moment of time about something without looking at it from a different perspective, and they allow their emotions to get them irate, and now they're acting belligerent over something in which they will completely feel 100% differently about a few days later, a few months later, a few years later from now. So I just wanted to stress that again, because it's okay, because it's frivolous attitude. I wish we can all incorporate it into our lives, and I hope that I explained it in a way in which you all really you received it. So now it's like an hour and 1 minute in, so y'all, I gotta go meet my mom, but I don't want to let you go because I'm so loving this conversation. Now I want to definitely address any comments. Do y'all have any questions? Oh, there's no questions in the comments. Okay. I wish I could see it on my thing so I could just scroll and but instead it's on my computer. But that is all right. Yeah, he did. He had good intentions. I didn't know that at the time, mother. I really didn't. I didn't even care. All I saw was that he stole my post. You know how many people get upset about that on an everyday basis? Now, when it comes to you want to know something that I thought about, brother? I was like, you remember how back in the day our ancestors used to fight about how we shouldn't be, you know, treated unjustly because of the color of our skin, right? I think it's so interesting how nowadays people are really like they're fighting, and they're like, we matter. We matter because of the color of our skin. Y'all need to treat us like we matter because of the color of our skin. Why else would we say Black Lives Matter? When we say black, right, we're referring to what we use to identify us as Black, which is the complexion of our skin. There's no other reason outside of the complexion of our skin for why we call each other Black, as much as it is incorrect linguistically, okay? So in other levels as well. But don't you think that's interesting? Is that just me? Am I the only one? Am I seeing it in a different way in which, because when I thought about that, I was like, dang, we did a whole 180. How is that? How do
well I mean, if you go back a few generations, when you call people Black, you know, they had a fight. And I don't know if some people can relate to some of their grandparents, great grandparents, even can attest to that. But I think now it has taken on a whole new form, of course, because of the anode and cathode principle. If you read the Kabbalion, when someone tells you to react and respond, that's exactly what you do. They show you something and want you to react emotionally and get charged up, and that's what our people do. So um, I think it has taken on a whole new form of this.
That's it.
Yeah, it displays that our people are, well, some of our people, not all of them, a lot of our people. Uh, when they are given a argument to argue against the person who gave it to them, they are misguided. And then when you try to take that away from them, they fight and they want to hold on to what they have because they're not used to having stuff in this, time frame. So,
Mm-hmm. And I just really want us to let this black piece go. Yeah, I know in previous lives we talked about the black piece, but we gonna keep talking about it because until people really as a collective start to pay attention to how much us identify ourselves as a color is harming us because we're not crayons and it makes us stateless peoples, I'm not gonna be satisfied. So what I didn't address in the last live was how now we did talk about color and what it meant according to law, how it's an appearance of semblance distinguished from that which is real, right? Now, when we think about how we identify ourselves as colored people, especially by saying that we're black, that we in law we're ultimately saying that we're distinguishing ourselves from that which is real. So when you think about the definition of color, you have to comprehend that that is ultimately the basis behind why we are considered civically dead, okay, or dead in the view of the law. The law term is civiliter mortuus, okay? So because we are considered stateless and we have this law term that tells us that because we're stateless and we're not identified by an actual bloodline or actual nation, that we're considered civically dead. According to the Black's Dictionary, fourth edition, civiliter mortuus, civiliter mortuus is a civically dead, dead in the views of the law. It is the condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacities and is accounted dead in law. Do y'all see that? So when you have this group of people who are considered stateless, that means that it's up for grabs. The people who, or if you have a group of people who are actually recognized by the United Nations as an official nation to come into our land, and we're not even claiming the land, of course they're going to come and they're going to identify themselves as the true Americans and the true natives because we are not taking that position. So please, y'all, please let's get
so,
out the black talk. Go ahead, brother.
no, I was just gonna say, so if people are classified as stateless because they choose to be classified as stateless, and then they come into the information that what you just said that they are considered dead in the eyes of the law, and they were to ask, well, how do I become alive, quote unquote? How do I change my status? What would you inform them or help them to come to the realization of?
Yeah. So first, there's a difference between a stateless person. Sorry, I hit a static. There's a difference between a stateless person and a natural person, a living, breathing, sentient being. So my answer to that is first, study the Constitution because that is what protects us. Study the treaty because the treaty is the supreme law of the land, and recognize that you are attached. What's the term? You have indigenous. You have.
Autochthonous?
It was gonna come to me. Autochthonous, autochthonous. That's a tongue twister for me. But when you are the true original natives of this land, all you have to do is just claim it, declare it, make a public declaration. If you have to publicize it in a newspaper, so be it. But just start. First things first. Render to Caesar's what is Caesar's. So how can you try to claim your estate if you still are doing business in another's man name? Smith, Jones, and Johnson's, even Taylor's, y'all, 9 leggeds is a Taylor. But Smith, Jones, and Johnson's is that of the Englishman name. Start by going back to the knowledge and the native names and tribal positions of your ancestors. You know, we didn't even used to live by names. Names was given to corporation. We used to consider ourselves and identify ourselves by titles only. Y'all, do y'all know that when we talk about the president, well, I know most people be like Trump, they did, but usually like military, they have to be like President Donald Trump. All of the people that are in official government capacities, they are identified by their title, and their title first and foremost. Our titles have been stripped from us. So, you know, although I do call you, you know, Isaiah, we really should go back to identifying ourselves by L's and B's only, because you know that we had titles of nobility, and now those, you know, your Demo-European colonial positions and substitute-based positions, now they are in those positions identifying themselves as the nobles, and they're taking the titles of nobilities from us, and you know, and claiming it for themselves.
So okay, yeah, you did, but this is for, you know, the viewers. So
Okay.
how do so now that you told me to go back, how do I do that? What's the step for that?
For the step of what? Claiming your nationality?
So I gotta claim a nationality now.
You have to identify yourself by where you are actually from. So they tell us that we're from Africa, but like we told you in a few lives ago, technically, you know, this North, South, Central America could be considered Africa if you look at it from a historical viewpoint, you know. But first thing is, regardless of what they tell you that you're from, recognizing that you are from this land, you are a native of this land. Okay. And when you do that, you realize that the people who have been inflicting all of these code, statute, regulation, policies, ordinances, and so forth and so on, they don't really have the authority to implement and to. So those bill of attainers that you're getting, those taxes that you're paying, first of all, it's recognized. I would say the first thing you need to do is learn the power of estate, trust, and contract law. Do y'all know what income is? Nevertheless, despite the fact that the Europeans, the modern day Europeans actually used to pay taxes to us via tariffs, and now we're paying taxes, is a whole nother story for another day. But do y'all know what tax is? I mean, income tax is? Income is profits made from capital gains on the investment of a corporate entity. Okay, so the next time somebody come up to you and they ask you, where's your income, or do you have income, say, if I do not have stocks in a foreign company, and if I have not made profits off of those investments, I do not have income. So how many people never had income? Okay, because I'm one of them. And if that's again, I'm sure it's a lot of you too. And if that's the case, why are we paying income taxes? Do you know that technically we're not even considered a withholding agent? Do you know, matter of fact, this notice, okay, I know I can't see it, but this notice, it says to all workers, employees, and employers regarding the voluntary nature of IRS Form W-4. This notice used to be placed, actually it says on the bottom, it says this notice must be posted in a conspicuous place where it can be read by all employees and workers. You know that area in restaurants and office and certain businesses where they have all of the federal regulations and stuff? This used to be there, but they took it down, okay? And for y'all who need the source, Internal Revenue Code Title 26, Chapter 1, Part 31, Section 3402 PI, okay? Oh, that says P1, okay?
P1.
So Yeah, check it out. See it for yourself. You feel what I'm saying? And you'll realize, dang, you've been dealing with all of these various forms of stress that is harming you, and you don't even have to deal with it. You know how many people get stressed over taxes? So know who you are, know who they not is definitely the first thing that I would say when it comes to operating as a national. Learn the state law, contract law, trust law, because all of these things are the methods in which they are oppressing us as a nation, as natives and particularly. And so, yeah, do y'all know governments descend to merely a private corporation with characteristics of a private citizen, where private corporate commercial papers, Federal Reserve notes, and securities is concerned. For the purposes of suits, such corporations and individuals are regarded as merely private corporations, entirely separate from government. Entirely. Y'all, that right there is from the Clearfield Doctrine, okay? And that was the Clearfield Trust Company versus the United States. This is why we also need to know case law, because we can use that for our protection as well, okay? Y'all need to be familiar with the case law, starting, in, especially if you're trying to learn how to operate as a national. Brother, I would love for you to go into the Dre Scott and the William Dungy case in a second as well, because people need to be very familiar with that. But the Clearfield Doctrine basically proved and also established in law that when private commercial papers is being used by corporate government, it eliminates, it takes away the sovereign status of a nation, and that government is now, is treated as just a private corporation, and a private corporation only. Okay, and we told y'all a long time ago that the United States, oh, my computer just died. The United States Service Corporation Company was registered in France in 1754 by Benjamin Franklin. So there's different various, supporting evidence to back up the things that were presented in this video. Now, but I got a strong feeling that you probably, did you want me to go in any particular direction? Because I think I went a little left. Your question. Did I answer your question?
Well, definitely we gotta build in stages and degrees. For those who are not aware of the information and desire to become a national, you mentioned a whole lot of stuff that definitely is some great launching pads, and they definitely got to know about their status and law. You definitely have to know about um, nationhood and things of that nature. But man, that's a lot of groundwork you just covered.
Mm-hmm. And another thing too is we realize that all the things that we're aware of, we can't just give it to you in one video. It is no way possible. Maybe it is. We shall not set limitations on ourselves whatsoever. But we can't. I can't say can't, because it's possible, possibly. We shouldn't expect to be able to change the entire nation in one video. So that's why we're doing several lives on a weekly basis, to basically give you this information in degrees. I actually like the structure of treating this live just like they do in the Masonic lodges, okay? They give them degrees. Now, they also got to take blood oaths and make sacrifices and pay Federal Reserve notes in order to get the degrees. But we don't want none of that from you all. We want to give it to you in degrees, but the point is, I would love to present this information in a level of degrees. So I would love to eventually get to talk about things that have high level of sensitivity, or top notch, top secret, or top, classified information, but we can't just give it to you right now, because if you don't know the steps, if we can't build you up to be able to receive that type of information, then you're just going to reject it, and you're not going to be able to really be the information. So I yield the floor, brother. Please tell them about that case law.
Okay, let me see, because I have a whole document about the Dred Scott that I want to cover.
My computer died, so I can no longer see the Facebook Live comments. So you're gonna have to watch those for me.
Okay, let me see here. Okay. So basically, when you're looking at the Dred Scott case versus Sanford, the big issue is about status, okay? Status and your national descent. Uh, Dred Scott, uh, when you look at how he was the plaintiff trying to sue the quote unquote oppressor, a slave master, um, the landmark decision, plaintiff in error, is because not being aware of one's status, okay? And your status in law um, is actually what makes or gives you the political or judicial standing to have access to your estate, your birthrights, and to exercise the freedom of your birthrights. Dred Scott, he in 1854, um, he wanted to argue this case against the oppressor, and um, he was not aware of the issue of status and nationality, and the fact that his name was Scott, and he in Scott, um, slave masters and Sanford and uh, uh, McGillicuddy, Weinstein, um, Percy, all these different names that are not the names or appellations or titles or attributes of your ancestors. When you have these things tagged to you, that makes you non-descendable in law. Okay, you don't have a political status as a national, and you don't have the enjoyments of your birthrights because you're not honoring the principle of honor your mother and your father. So when you're off that platform, you have no rights, privileges, immunities that you can look towards and stand on because you are considered in law stateless. So when you're considered stateless in law, there are a lot of um, injuries that will and can occur. Um, for example, she mentioned earlier about bills of attainder. Most of the issues that our people face today are simply bills of attainder clothed in many different subject matters. So you're always dealing with a defeated people who are stateless, who don't have a nationality or a national descent that they honor and recognize themselves. They have one, they just don't, or they're not aware of it and honor it. That removes them from the platform of remedy and law. So when you have bills of attainders, such as BG&E bills or gas and electric bills or cable bills and cell phone bills and um, car bills and all of these different bills of attainders that corrupt your bloodline. How do they corrupt your bloodline? Okay, they corrupt your bloodline because Article 3, Section 3 talks about the bills of attainder um, that corrupts your bloodline by them listing you as black, Negro, color, African American. Those are tags and brands, and that does not tell who you are in law as far as a national or a nation is concerned. So when you have these different tags and brands on you, um, it's corrupting your bloodline. Okay, and a lot of people are paying um, different bills, alleged paying. I shouldn't say paying because gold and silver consist of payment, but a lot of people are uh, stuck with taxes, okay, in all its forms, which are bills of attendance. And these things are actually general. So when you go to the store, when you go to the market, when you go to uh, purchase things, you have taxes everywhere from cable, everything I just mentioned. And a lot of this has to do with because the people of their own land don't even know that this is their land. And because it's your land, you have uh, political status to assert your right of claim and law to exercise your birthrights from a treaty. And a lot of people aren't aware of this. If you knew that this was your land, you can control the land. Just like how you hear the stigma, own nothing, control everything. It's that same principle or similar principle with controlling your own land. controlling your own resources. When you look at in Venezuela, Chavez, when he nationalized everything, the electrical grids, the waterways, the apartment complexes, the plants, the agriculture, everything. This is the strength, the remedy, the power of nationalizing. And if you are not honoring your national descent and your bloodline, then you cannot do those things that nations do when they are injured, and they can redress their grievances in law and actually come out and protect themselves, secure themselves, shield themselves. And a lot of times people think that, how do I become a Moor? Well, a lot of people aren't
Can't
aware.
become more. It's who you
Right.
are.
It's your bloodline. It's dealing with bloodline. Many nations on the earth, 206 nations. Um, two out of the 206 nations, all of them come from this one nation that comes. They have the same bloodline, and they can be traced back to the mother, the great mother of the universe, the cosmic uh, woman, as they call it, a great Moabitess woman, and they all have the same bloodline within them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Peace and greetings, brother B Forte.
Islam.
And when you look at the status and bloodline in law, um, which is ancient, okay, there's affidavits that went unrebutted in law, um, about who we are, about our true ancestry and where we come from, and things of that nature. And now there's a lot of claims made on and against our people for their estate, because they continuously argue or make the claim that the oppressors give them so that they can keep them disassociated from their very land. And
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yep.
when you look at Dred Scott was not aware, just like a lot of people are today, about their status in law, about their nationality in law. And a lot of people are still trying to redress grievances that they have, and that makes them in a similar position as Dred Scott. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Today, modern day Dred Scott, not being able to connect and tie yourself with a parcel of land, with a flag, with a seal, with a common language, a common religion, a common tradition, customs, mores, folkways, all these different things that our people share and nations share in common under common law. A lot of our people can't do that. They make up flags, which they have the right to under the rights of indigenous people. They make up different models and things like that. But there is already a recognized nation and bloodline of people who have formed treaties with the world. Most of the treaties can be traced back to our ancient bloodline, and a lot of our people are not honoring that, and this is why they are suffering today. So,
Speaking of not being honored, speaking of not being honored, our ancestors we talk about, because most people when I say our ancestors, they can't go past slavery. So I'm not talking about, I'm talking about our ancestors way before slavery was even happened. So our ancestors even operated in honor when it came to their economic system. So their monetary system was based off of things of true value, you know what I'm saying, which was gold and silver. For those people that think that we're operating as a nation now, our economy is, the financial system is one thing when it comes to a nation, but for our financial system, our economy is ran by fiat. Do y'all know what fiat is? Fiat is currency, and currency is energy output. But currency established as money by government's regulations, but has no intrinsic value. Intrinsic means belonging naturally. The type of fiat that we're operating under is private commercial paper. It goes back to that of what private corporations use, corporate governments use. This isn't the operations of a de jure government, a lawful nation. You know what I'm saying? We are in disharmony in a lot of ways that we, handle our daily affairs. So that's one of the beginning, one of the first times. And that's another thing. Do y'all know how many people, blood, sweat, tears, sacrifices, selling souls, they do anything for the fiat. They don't even do that for the money. They do it for the fiat, y'all. They do it for the fiat.
And that is exactly what's giving them power, So go ahead, brother, but I sent me on I had to get it off my chest because it frustrates me.
Well, I think if we were to come together as a people and to decide to stop trusting and having faith in the fiat and to go back to our ancient ways. Exactly. Go back to those ancient ways. I know that's fearful for a lot because they have a lot invested in this current fiat system. But
they don't even realize that it is as simple as going back to the first form of trading, which is bartering, the bartering system. That was our first. We traded skills and talents and the things of value that we had to exchange amongst each other first and foremost. We can still do that now,
Well, a lot of people aren't aware of that, or don't remember. I shouldn't say aware, because sometimes how if you get a bag of chips, I get a bag of chips. I said, well, let me get some of that, and we trade. We know on that common sense level, but a lot of people have invested themselves into this system, and they have attached themselves to it and got comfortable, and it's convenient for them. So even to just relearning or to remember how we used to do things will actually be beneficial. I think right now, with the way that everything is going on, plus when you look at the alignment of the planets and everything, going more into this age where they're trying to push this global rainbow gold currency, quote unquote, and they're trying to push us further into the age of Aquarius, we're going to see a lot of different tactics and things used. But,
for example, a virus pushing us into a cashless society. They're going it.
Right. But see, even then, it's going to go back, no matter, until we finally get the principle of nationality and the power of it. We is always going to be something new that they try to introduce. Okay, we have to come back to national standards and principles.
Yeah.
And so that's always going to be the forefront until we come together as a nation of people. Put your religions to the side, put your opinions, your beliefs, always to the side. Let's deal with facts. Let's deal with the national standards and principles, and then we can be effective as a people. So,
but don't worry, we are working diligently towards restoring the republic. So stay tuned, because we're definitely in the future going to need the people's involvement. Okay, we're going to first need them to be competent enough to even be involved efficiently. But that's the purpose of these lives. We're going to continue to do lives in order for us to present information to help people become competent of common knowledge. Well, and I thought about something. They didn't change the definition of common sense. So I was like, wait, common sense means that the sense is common amongst the people. But if the people then lost what used to be considered common, then there is the common sense is not technically what we used to know it as.
Right.
They is no longer, so we can't even say it's common sense, because the senses, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. So what is common amongst our people now isn't the same level of sense that we used to have back in the day, back when common sense developed the common law, which was the basis of developing the Constitution. Okay, so we all are. But I think that before we can, because there's going to be people that's going to be able to fight back, and they're going to fight this. And I think the main way that we can get people to receive this information and receive how serious it is to start operating as a national, honorable national, is for them to go back to the knowledge of thyself. I feel like if we could teach people how important it is for them to take care of their mind, body, and soul, then they'll be able to receive this information. When you start to receive this information, you'll be like, oh man, I see the world differently. When you start to cleanse your body, you start to be like, dang, I feel different. Do y'all know that a lot of y'all don't even realize that y'all train y'all taste buds to like the food that y'all like so much that y'all no longer like the authentic taste of natural foods because I think it's too bland. It's about incorporating mental programming and self-training for you to go back to those ancient traditions, customs and traditions of our foremothers and forefathers. And one of the things that they were big about was not consuming dead carcass, but consuming the fruits and vegetables that provides us with the vitamins and minerals that we need for our organ systems to run efficiently. You feel what I'm saying? And our bodies, we've been so used to consuming all of this junk that our bodies don't even know how to receive anything that is raw and natural without any added preservatives or sugars or additives. And so I think that if we can go back to the knowledge of self, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, just going back to the knowledge of self, because then once you clean your mind with the knowledge, your body with the cleanses and eating natural foods again, then you'll be able to cleanse your soul, y'all. Our souls. Do y'all know? I thought about this too, brother. I was like, dang, they took a lot from us, despite the fact that when they were the slaves. We did a lot of damage to them, but we let them keep their tongue, which is the same language on which they have inflicted on us. But I was like, y'all, the main thing that they took from us more than anything was our sense of love. I remember us being do y'all remember our neighborhoods? We actually took It Takes a Village to raise a child very seriously. The neighborhoods was dedicated towards the prosperity of the child. You feel what I'm saying? And people were hospitality was common. As time continued to go on, we were stripped. We were oppressed by all these different methods, so much to the point to where we are now, and we have lost the love for each other. We don't trust each other. We lost the love for each other. We protect. It's so funny because we do anything to protect our media blood, not realizing that me and you, we're connected by blood too. But just because you're not in my direct immediate family, oh, I'm looking at you sideways if you do me dirty. Do you know that family? I was actually just talking to somebody earlier about this, and it was like, they was telling me, they was like, because I was telling them about some crazy stuff that was going on in my family or whatever, or my kindred. And they was like, when you're interacting with kindred, it's like no matter what you do, what they do to irritate you, you always have that love for them. So you can have a kindred that you cannot stand, for the life of you can't stand. Oh my goodness, they did you wrong, they did you dirty, and you would rather stay away from them. But if something happens to them, you going in. If something happens to them, you're going to defend them to the death for you. You feel what I'm saying? That is the same type of love we need to have for one another, not just direct bloodline. No, because we're technically, every heavily melanated dominant person, we are direct bloodlines in that way. We're direct kindred via our bloodline in that matter, but we don't have that same type of love for each other. We have lost the love, even with kindreds, kindreds, they have lost the love in family structure. Wow. A lot of people don't like, they say blood thicker than water, but where they do that at? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people who don't even trust their own kindred. You know what I'm saying? So it's love is lost in so many forms and so many directions, that I think that would be the first step towards us actually indulging in this journey of spiritual enlightenment, is returning back to love, returning back to the knowledge of thyself. If you don't know your blood, if you don't know your sun, moon, and rising sign, if you don't know your blood type, if you don't know what type of foods you should eat according to your blood type, if you don't know what you even truly like, some people that work so hard, when it comes to me asking you right now, what do you like to do? Or if you wasn't in this current position, what would you be doing with your life if you had all the time and financial stability in the world? What makes your heart glow? A lot of people don't know. That's the issue. I'm just saying.
Well, and just speaking about love and those principles, I just want to mention Noble Shakira L. Shay is peace and love. Shay. She said, I missed this. It says the Four Agreements. That book. I think people should get that book and read that. That can definitely.
Never heard of it. Who's
And
the
I
author?
definitely want to say I don't know. She just put the book up there. I definitely want to say peace and love, Gabor, Mother
Peace and love.
Deborah Thompson Bay. How is it down there in Arkansas? Brother Jarari Ayana Ill. I don't know if that's
Wow.
Hey Yaya. Um that principle of love is definitely a starting point. But go ahead and get that book. I think they got the PDF version as well.
I will Google
Four
it
Agreements.
to find the author. Yeah, I got this website where you can get free ebooks. I'm gonna go to see if I can get the author. I'm gonna go to see if it's on that website. I would verbally tell you, but the steps you got to take in order for you to actually get to the part where you download the book. So, if you're interested, just send me a DM or something like that. But if I actually find that PDF or that ebook, I'll try to like post it somewhere, maybe in the Google Drive or something like that. What is the Four Agreements about, though? I'm curious.
Well, curiosity kills the cat, doesn't it?
See what he did there, y'all? That's so funny.
But yeah, it's really good. It's teaching a lot of different principles. Yaya says is by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Don Miguel. I was about to write it down. I'll see it on the comments. So my computer come back up.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just had to write that down. All right.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay. Don. All right, we got it. So I'm gonna go ahead. We can send that out if you want it, or if you can't get it or get access to it.
Oh yeah,
All right.
I can email it if it's a PDF version. The website offers, and I can send that out in an email. So if you're interested in that book, y'all, just let me know. I'll try to find it for you. I'm usually good at finding movies and books and stuff online, so I can use it for some good, instead of my own personal endeavors.
Oh yeah. So that's all I have, Mother.
Yeah. I did want to touch a little bit about how when it comes to those people who are in denial about how they created corporate entities from the in legacy known to the masses as names. I don't know why I never really paid attention to it before, but do y'all realize? I want y'all to answer this. Everybody that's on live right now, can you tell me what y'all think the reason is for why we have to identify ourselves by a number? Why is it that everybody has to know their social security number? What is that for? I would love for y'all to tell me an answer. Because I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. The social security number is a 9-digit routing number. Daggone it. Y'all, it's a 9-digit routing number. And I think the black file number on a birth certificate is the account number. But I was like, it's so in our faces, so much about how they've been operating on our estate via contract law and estate law and trust law. It don't make no sense. So the next time, when you think about operating as a national, realize that you don't have to be identified by any particular number. It's that same number that they use in order to use your signature to, put themselves in position of a trustee over any particular affair. So when you think that you are actually getting a credit from them or a loan for them, the reality is they're using that 9-digit routing number to get information in order to operate within your trust. And so you're paying back money that ultimately belongs to you, or fiat, because we learned that we're not operating under money in this system. So it's a lot for us to think about. Actually, I would love to get into it another live, so stay tuned. I really do have to go, y'all, because I was supposed to surprise my mom at work, and she's been blowing me up, and I just feel a cuss out coming. I refuse to get cussed out on my solar return, okay? So let me go, y'all. We're going to discuss subjects like what we discussed today in the future. And I want to thank you all again. Thank you again for your time, for your energy, for your love. Most importantly, studying, because once we all become competent, then we'll be able to operate as a sovereign nation, and we'll be able to go back to the ancient customs and traditions of our foremothers and forefathers and take our place amongst the affairs of men. Okay? So we'll see you all on Monday, actually, for another episode of Matriarchal Mondays. Woo, woo.
Peace and love.
25. Sorry. Islam, y'all. Peace and love.